Obviously, there's plenty going on, and I got some notes that I'll start with, and then the quintessential kind of ask me anything. So look forward just to the discussion and the dialogue. It's a big day in the Neff house too, Oconee County Schools. So not only Grady starting third grade, but a big day with the twin boys starting kindergarten, like a milestone kind of day. So I had the drop off and the walk to the classroom, and I've gotten some reports from Kristen that it was a good day. So anyway, I know a lot of us have or will or are going through that as well. So I'm just sharing that personally. Listen, really appreciate this group getting together too, and what you do to cover and Clemson and support and do your jobs, but tell our stories. And that continues to be a moving target in sports entertainment, college athletics these days. But you guys do it better than any. And I hear things from conference staff, et cetera, from Greensboro of oh gosh, it's a zoo when Clemson comes, and here come the Beatles, and that's a lot because you guys come and follow and tell our stories and have interest and are supportive. And so just the appreciation of that. This time of year it's a grind, and you guys are boating over across the moat to get here on days like today, but really appreciate that. I mean that genuinely, and obviously for me, and there's been a lot of movement, a lot of changes. College athletics has never been more dynamic than right now, so I'm really eager to just continue to be transparent and tell our story from my lens and strategies, and appreciate how you guys go about that too. On our behalf, so to speak, but ultimately just the partnership and the roles are really special. So I mean that, and again, it's times like this time of year, there's a lot going on, and so I know you guys are grinding away. I'll start with a handful of notes and comments, and then we'll just dive into it. Obviously, just a look back, I know I had time with the trustees, our board of trustees a couple weeks ago, and did a little bit of a recount and look back. But by all accounts, last year's athletic year, 24-25, was as good as any we've had at Clemson, with 3 ACC championships, certainly back to college football playoff for football program, most wins in school history for men's basketball, one of 3 schools that finished the top 25 end of the season polls in our 3 revenue driving sports: football, men's basketball, and baseball. And so that certainly matters from a business, a revenue standpoint, of course. But obviously with 21 sports, 550 student athletes, 16, now 17 head coaches with our new co-head coaches in gymnastics. The comprehensive, the broad-based nature of our department, I couldn't be more proud. And we're going to continue to lean into football as we always have, from an investment and a business lens, of course, let alone just the prominence of what that means for our community and our institution. But the broad-based nature of that, and as we look back on this past year, was really a testament to that. Growing record revenue from annual giving standpoint, certainly with IPTAY, has never been more difficult from a discretionary giving and contribution standpoint for those that love college sports and are passionate about it, certainly like our fan base is. So the continued success and engagement and commitment from IPTAY and staff, record ticket revenue. Ultimately, that means record number of attendance and butts in the seats, so to speak. Really just a special year. Over 1 million fans visited our events and venues at Clemson, and certainly a record number of students as well, with our part of the #1 student experience at Clemson. Always important as we look intra-campus, intra-student body standpoint. Savannah Bananas in April was an event unlike any other. It's been cool to watch their engagement nationally throughout the summer. The Neff boys have been locked into that with Philadelphia and Baltimore maybe this past weekend, and Fenway. And so the fact that we were the first environment like that, at least from a big football stadium standpoint, and what that has meant for our community, but also it's indicative of, and you'll see more, our fans will see more of those type of non-sport type of engagements down the road. Obviously, it's easy to think to concerts and things like that, but we're very active in what that strategy could look like, deploying our facilities throughout the year, certainly the engagement within our community and our fan base, and then certainly a revenue component of that as well. So more to come on that, but the Bananas was a really cool start and litmus test for what that could look like, and we're eager to have more of that in the years ahead. Certainly, we're around the corner later this month. with August 30th with the LSU game. I've often said, from an industry standpoint, the industry of college athletics, I think, is the hardest calendar flip from July 31st to August 1st. July, it's a little lower key. There's no events. Feels like there's summer planning. Teams are training. You flip to August 1st, and it's like, holy cow, we got a game later this month, and all the teams are back in session, and school's about to start, and we got to do all this by the first game. And so the fact of flipping to August 1st, and now we start to look ahead very, very much so towards games and events. We had a women's soccer exhibition game at Riggs yesterday in some of the weather, which was kind of the first, I guess it was an exhibition and competition, but getting started. And then again, we're 3.5 weeks away from Under the Lights against LSU, night game. Power of the Paw has never been higher. We're going to continue to double down on our brand, our prominence, viewership, certainly a component of that now more than ever from an ACC standpoint. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Happy to host ACC Network, The Huddle, here for that game. Saw the announcement from the ACC a couple weeks ago with The Huddle moving around now to a different selection of games within the ACC home games this year. Huge deal. ESPN ACC Network have been really nimble on that strategy. We've been really part of that push, so to speak. So we'll host The Huddle on Bowman Field for that Saturday of the LSU game on that August 30th. So really excited for what that looks like for Clemson, local home games, but then ultimately in support of the ACC and ACC Network and ESPN in regards to that. And lastly, certainly just the continued monitoring and engagement within the landscape. And the landscape of college athletics couldn't be more dynamic. It's been incredibly the rate of change over the past 3 to 5 years. I feel like I've been at this podium, so to speak, and talked on the rate of change and the dynamic nature of college athletics annually. And we've certainly seen a lot of examples of that. You've seen a lot of our strategies around what that looks like, but our anticipation and my job is to make sure we're being strategic and nimble for what that rate of change looks like for the coming 3 to 5 years, so to speak. And that's our focus ahead. The implementation of the House case settlement has certainly been frontal focus. Couldn't be a higher priority for us in our department. Certainly what that looks like locally with the deployment of our revenue share dollars. We've talked about that. We are, without question, fully funding and all in on our revenue share distribution strategy of how we allocate that amongst teams, and ultimately the strategies in support of our coaches to deploy from a roster standpoint across many of our sports. Scholarships, we've talked about that, but really to emphasize our lean and leverage into broad-based scholarship additions, 150 new scholarships, again, supported by IPTAY. So much of the ethos here at Clemson with IPTAY since 1934 and that scholarship investment and what that looks like across the board. Again, as I said earlier, football continues and will be our investment strategy from a business standpoint, but broad-based sports, 21 sports, and that allocation of additional scholarships, 150, is significant. Previously, we had 275 scholarships kind of collectively, and adding 150 to that is significant. I'd argue, I don't know the data on this, but from a per capita standpoint, that might be the most or as big of an increase of any other school in the country. Something we're incredibly proud of, and again, across all of our sports for that type of deployment. And then lastly, and certainly probably the most moving or still being figured out amongst all of us is commercial NIL, right, and how that looks within NIL Go under the leadership of the College Sports Commission. The build of our commercial NIL infrastructure is the highest priority. And for as much as we are all in on revenue share, 20 million, like a lot of schools like us, that differentiator for us of how we leverage and facilitate commercial NIL is significant. It is one of our main focuses ahead. Certainly, Clemson Ventures is an initiative we announced a year ago, I believe, here, and has local or has internal revenue generation strategies to it, but it was absolutely done a year ago in anticipation of our ability to facilitate and be strategic around this type of NIL type infrastructure. And so there'll be more to come on what that engagement looks like within and alongside Clemson Ventures, in IPTE, and how that will be a leading edge for us as we look to support our coaches in 21 sports and build rosters above and beyond just scholarship allocation, which is significant, and our revenue share deployment that we've talked about. So there's plenty there. Again, the nomenclature of landscape is something that's broad-based, and I think we're something going to lean into it. I'll start with a question in the back. Yes, sir.
Mr. Neff, Mr. Neff! Dabo Sweeney with Clemson. I just want to know.
Thanks for being here, Dabo. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to know how your summer went. Were there any amazing vacations that you went on?
You missed my opening remarks around big day in the Neff house. Oconee County Schools, first day of class. Grady's in third grade. Emmett and Nolan Neff started kindergarten today. So I know you and Kath have been there, been a couple decades now, but a big, big day.
Mr. Neff, one more question. Follow up, Mr. Neff. How often does Larry Williams text you?
Larry who? Yeah, I'm just trying to get on the Dubcast. I just want to do a pod. That's all I want. That is. Why is he coming in that way? Like, I don't even know.
He's coming from an
Interview upstairs. He already hit the slide. Is he going down and up and down and up? Yeah. With that, I'll open it up for any further questions from the group. Listen, again, a lot to be excited about as we look back, look ahead. That's just a little bit of an overview, but look forward to the discussion wherever we want to take it.
The CFC had just modified the guidance there. What is kind of the expectation of 110 society, if that's still a thing that needs to exist, or if there's other ways that you guys can get those collective type deals to players, if that's still important?